Hey, what's going on, guys? It's No Shoes, and we're back with another one. And today we're going to be reacting to Phantom from Mr. Lift featuring LP. Recently, I got a suggestion to check out Mr. Lift, and then the other day I was actually doing some research on Def Jux for a possible project. And I started to find out all about Mr. Lift, and the connection started to click. So I checked out one of his tracks on stream live from the plantation. I really enjoyed it. Without any further ado, let's get right into this. Let's see what Phantom is all about. Let's see what Mr. Lift and LP got to say. Let's get it. And it's silent.
Check it out. I've been waiting, playing.
Okay, wacky start to the track. I was not expecting that. That little, like, just gap of silence. And then just boom, right into it. And I will say, granted, this is not the official release of this track. Shout out to Ito138, whoever you are, for posting this. But but yeah, so there might be some things that are slightly different just because, somebody ripped this off the internet or ripped it off a record or whatever they did exactly to get this online. But wacky start with that like bass synth guy like wah, 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 like back and forth between the ears. Let's see where it goes from here.
Check it out. I've been waiting, playing for a long time. X amount of thoughts carried out in my mind. I turn on the TV and see crime. Script written diligently, then it on time. Push the power button, now to the power something. Opened up my fridge and found nothing. Dipped to my room with an aura of gloom. Wishing I could write another tune, but my hands are paralyzed.
Cool. So really just stupid busy instrumental. I mean, like I said, that bass like, wah, 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 just going crazy. The drums just pushing forward. Mr. Lift, his vocal has a lot of reverb on it. It seems like it's changing a little bit from area to area, so maybe there's some automation on the reverb, changing the amount that we're getting coming through. But especially in the sections where that reverb is heavy, it just sucks his voice like super far back into the beat. And then you got so much going on in the beat. It's just really hard to hear what he's saying. Um it has a cool sound to it. He's got a nice, like, kind of like that higher voice flow where you hit your soft palate and you kind of direct your voice up into your head rather than out directly. But the mix is definitely a little rough, at least for my taste. If you like it like this, enjoy it. You know what I mean?
Wishing I could write another tune, but my hands are paralyzed. Plus my eyes wanna shed tears, but it's not possible. There's the burden of things I couldn't bear. Feelings weren't dealt with properly. Remorse follows me with this good friend, the threat of poverty. Here's where I am versus where I think I ought to be. There's a certain chance I'm a victim of circumstance.
That's kind of cool. Here's where I am versus where I think I ought to be. Coming back to the conflict, we as people, conflict is something that just works well. All stories rely on it. A lot of music employs it. Just conflict. Like our brains are difference machines. So when you give us two conflicting ideas to draw the difference between, that's a very satisfying thing.
Versus where I think I ought to be. There's a certain chance I'm a victim of circumstance. I take a look at myself and at first glance I see who I recently thought to be me. Based on identities, public and private. Behold the radio pirate, the nigga, the felon, chilling with a gun to your melon. A pimp with his pockets swelling. A jester, a slave with wounds that fester. The wannabe pre-med 3D dread. An academic reject, hoping to detect why we wreck what God did.
Cool and interesting. So it seems like we're kind of going through who he sees himself as. Maybe maybe the crux of this, the ultimate point is that maybe he sees himself as a phantom, maybe he feels that he is currently a phantom and there's, more that he could be. Something along those lines might make sense to me, and it rhymes, so you know it's true. But it's cool so far. He's got some nice bars in here. He's got some nice lines. And you know, the just the whole the mix is still throwing me off a little bit.
The wannabe pre-med 3D dread, an academic reject, hoping to detect why we wreck what God gave. Human laws all laid, we go to war, come back and come up with more. I'm kind, friendly, your worst enemy, charming, fast, and potentially dangerous.
Yeah, again, more conflict. I'm kind, friendly, your worst enemy. Imagine having that, a kind, friendly enemy. Sounds like it could be. It sounds like you could have a worse day.
I'm friendly, your worst enemy, charming, fast, and potentially dangerous. Have you ever heard of such? I'm invisible and impossible to touch.
Okay, yeah, so now we switch over to LP. Looks like LP is going to be holding down maybe the hooks, or if you want to call it a bridge or a break, call it whatever you want. Um, Very abrupt switch. Not really sure how I feel about that. I tend to love abruptness, but that one really just came way out of left field without anything to signal that a change was coming. Um, Again, LP's pulled back into the beat. The reverb and everything they're using on the vocals is nice, but I think ultimately, to my ear, it does detract from the vocal because now it's just adding a whole other element into this kind of like cacophony that we got going on with the instrumental. And I just don't think it's necessary. You know, I think there are some decisions we make as artists where sometimes we're being creative for the purpose of being creative rather than being creative for the purpose of it being like good. I'm not saying this is a bad song. I'm not saying it's poorly made, but I'm saying that I think that they moved past they moved to a point of extreme and stayed there rather than coming back to a more useful position, which, if you're a fan of Brian Eno, you've probably heard a much more eloquent way of saying that before. But let's keep it going. Let's see where it takes us from here.
I still say fresh dope and things of that sort. I don't shoot up, smoke crack, or take shorts. Your thoughts are always welcome. I seldom won't enter another's perspective. Corrective lenses are something that I wear. So
Yeah, they should call this track Aural Assault. And when I say aural, I want y'all to know I'm saying Aural. If you haven't heard it before, look it up. It's basically the version of like sight. You know what I mean? It's how you describe the sensory of your ears without using the word like hearing or something along those lines. Um, but yeah, I mean that break section again, just so much going on. And a lot of the time when you get into creating music, film, whatever it is, people talk a lot about layering, layers of complexity. But then within that, those layers should be subtle. So that way the complexity is built from all of the layers combining rather than having all of your layers be complex, and then you just have complexity on complexity on complexity, and it just becomes this insane amorphous glob. um Again, you know, like, I'm not here to say this is bad. It's very interesting, it's a cool exploration, but I think that they just went in every direction when they didn't need to.
corrective lenses are something that I wear. So I can see the globe real clear. Look, there's famine over there, plus some families in fear of disease and the stress that lingers in the air. These are the words of a man in purgatory. Words of a simpleton living in oblivion. Is this the model for life you will envision in? Free as can be in a world of imprisonment. I dare you to check new territory. American dream, time for another story. One where I don't choke to keep afloat. I'm sick of living off false visions of hope with a knife to my own throat.
I really do like that little incorporation of the synth we had in the back there. Nice just nice addition to the track. Gave us some brightness that's much needed. Everything is pretty dark on this track so far, aside from the vocal. And then the vocal kind of finds its way into the mix and starts to take on those dark characteristics of the other instruments. The flow, nothing super crazy going on with the flows, fairly paced out, not super fast. There is a little bit of a push behind it. He is kind of connecting through bar lines at points, but it's very subtle. And he's got some nice bars coming through. You can definitely tell this is like an early piece because like all of those sharp corners and rough edges are still very much present. Kind of like again, for those of y'all unfamiliar, Mr. Lif was on Def Jux, Aesop Rock was on Def Jux. There were a whole bunch of other rappers on Def Jux. And when you go back to Ace's old stuff, you can hear those sharp corners there still too.
False visions of hope with a knife to my own throat. Stick the dynamite inside my overcoat because I know the ropes. Reality in this world is bought and sold. A very limited scope of life is shown. And I'm just one in the mold, fully controlled. Left to a road in my humble abode. You won't hear me because I got no loot. You don't hear me because it won't compute. I'm docile, psycho. Have you heard of such? I'm invisible and impossible to touch. Single mother, who are you?
Phantom.
Office worker, who are
You know what it is there's like some slight polyrhythm elements going on in here in the instrumental. And I think that's what's really throwing me off because the instrumental is already so brash and in your face and it's already got a lot going on. And now you want to throw conflicting rhythms over top of each other and have me still somehow like listen to it and bump my head. It just doesn't make sense. It's a cool idea. It's a cool idea. This was probably groundbreaking when it came out. I mean, I don't think this is one of Def Jux's biggest projects ever, but I'm sure like the people who were into it, their minds were blown when they heard this. But at the same time, I can kind of see like LP eventually kind of disbanded Def Jux, just kind of was like, here, we'll still exist, but we just don't do anything anymore besides sell old stuff that we've made. And he did that because he felt like they had alienated themselves from the actual culture of hip hop, which birthed and inspired them to do such things. And listening to this, I can hear it 100%. You don't got to ask me twice. This is unfamiliar ground we are venturing into.
you? Caught up in the system, who are you? Trying to earn a living, who are you? Depressed and uninspired, who are you? Hard working, broken, tired, who are you? Seeking education, who are you? Can't get ahead no matter what you do.
And then we did just get a shout out to iPhantom. If anybody wants to see me check out some stuff off of iPhantom, let me know in the comments down below. Keep those suggestions coming if I didn't say it already at the beginning. And just a quick reminder, the best place to support me is at the Buy Me a Coffee. Check out the link tree in the description. You can get access to Discord, extra content, stuff that will never make it to the channel, maybe never make it to a public-facing platform, mind you. And it's a great time. Check it out. It's like $1 a month. You can donate, whatever you want to do. But regardless, cool track. You know, there's a lot going on here. There's a lot you could take in small bits and pieces and get inspiration from. I'm not here to say this track is bad. I know I've been whining the whole time. It's interesting. There's an exploration going on here. This is an experiment in some way or another. The little instrumental break here at the end where it's bare, it's a nice touch. Kind of caught me off guard after, again, just the cacophony of this whole track. But we got a little bit left. Let's finish it out. Oh, and then just like a weirdly long fade out. Not the worst thing, not the worst thing, not the most egregious fade out I've ever heard. But that was Phantom from Mr. Liffin LP. And I gotta tell y'all right now, I have no idea how I feel about that track. Um, the first thing I would say is I would probably never listen to this again, like on purpose while vibing. You know what I mean? Like, it would be interesting to come back to if I wanted to show a friend, like, hey, check out this super weird track I listened to today. But again, it's not bad. It's not like poorly constructed. I just think there was way too much going on. It's kind of like when you first get Photoshop and then you put all the filters on one picture and then you have a brown blob sitting in front of you. Um that's kind of how I feel about this track. But regardless, this was Phantom from Mr. Liffin LP. Thank you again to the few of you guys who have gotten Mr. Liff's name in my ear. I'm glad we finally checked something out in a video. Keep the suggestions coming in the comments down below. Don't forget to hit like, hit subscribe, and hit that bell if you want to see more videos like this. Much love to everybody in the No Shoes gang, and I will see you all next time.